In the entertainment industry, the stage lights can be dazzling, but behind the velvet curtain lies a place where darkness looms. Many seemingly beautiful, love song-like marriages of Black R&B legends were shattered by moments of surrendering to temptation. And when lust crossed the line of morality, the consequences were irreversible downward spirals. There are those so heartless they sneaked into bed with the daughter of their new wife. Some were caught red-handed, enduring terrifying fits of jealousy from their wives right in their lovers' homes. Even fatal accidents ripped off the perfect facade, exposing an entire filthy double life. This is no joke. The 17 stories I am about to tell you are the most breathtaking slices of cheating scandals that ever rocked music history. Are you ready for the truth? 17. Bobby Womack, the deafening gunshot and the moral sentence in the Cook mansion. Bobby Womack wasn't just a vocalist. He was a gritty poet of soul music, the man behind countless hits that shaped black music in the 60s and 70s. Bobby's career was deeply intertwined with Sam Cooke, a colossal icon, mentor, and brother who guided him from his earliest days. But behind his musical glory, Bobby carried a staggering arrogance and made twisted moral decisions. When Sam Cooke was tragically shot and killed in 1964, instead of mourning, Bobby did something that outraged the entire community. He married Barbara, his mentor's widow, just 3 months after the funeral. He gave himself the right to take over his benefactor's fortune, fame, and even his wife. But the worst didn't stop there. By 1970, right in the Cooke family mansion, Bobby Womack was secretly sleeping with Linda, the biological daughter of Sam Cooke and Barbara, who was only 17 at the time. One quiet afternoon, the air in the bedroom was thick with the smell of sweat and ultimate guilt. The bedroom door suddenly flung open without warning. Barbara stood frozen in the doorway. Her eyes shifted from shock to absolute disgust upon seeing her young husband in bed with her own daughter. Panicked, Bobby frantically grabbed his pants thrown on the floor, his heart pounding, cold sweat running down his spine. Barbara didn't cry, scream, or curse. She turned and walked away, returning seconds later with a gun in her hand. The cold barrel pointed straight at the traitor. Bang! The deafening gunshot ripped through the silence of the wealthy neighborhood. The bullet grazed Bobby's head. A burning sensation spread from his skull, blood trickling down his forehead. In sheer panic, the legendary singer bolted out of the house half naked, his bare feet burning on the asphalt, carrying the profound humiliation of a man who had just narrowly escaped death. Barbara filed for divorce immediately. This shock not only completely destroyed Bobby Womack's public image, but also pushed him into a downward spiral of drug addiction throughout the 70s. The scar on his head healed, but the moral sentence of betraying his late mentor's family was a permanent stain that could never be washed away. 16. Eddie Murphy, the pre-dawn encounter on Santa Monica Boulevard. In the 80s and 90s, Eddie Murphy was the uncrowned king of Hollywood, a box office superstar wielding supreme power and massive wealth. Starting as an edgy stand-up comedian, Eddie smoothly transitioned into the image of a family man, an exemplary father beside his beautiful supermodel wife, Nicole Mitchell. In the public eye, especially within the black community, Eddie was the epitome of ultimate success, safe, clean, and flawlessly perfect. He lived in luxurious mansions, protected by layers of bodyguards and a formidable PR team. No one could have expected that behind the mask of an orderly gentleman lay dark desires, things that would drag him from the peak of fame straight into the abyss of despair. It was 4:45 a.m. on May 2nd, 1997, on Santa Monica Boulevard, West Hollywood, an area notorious for prostitution. Eddie's luxurious black Toyota Land Cruiser pulled over to pick up a black woman. That person was Adesoni Sayuli, a 20-year-old transgender sex worker. Just minutes after the wheels rolled, the glaring red and blue lights of a police car flashed from behind. The space inside the Land Cruiser suddenly became suffocating. Sayuli's cheap perfume mixed with the cold sweat breaking out on Eddie's forehead. His hands gripped the steering wheel so tight his knuckles turned white. When the officer shined a flashlight straight through the window, illuminating the panicked face of a Hollywood superstar next to a transgender sex worker, Eddie knew he was doomed. He stepped out of the car, trying to explain to the police and attempting to squeeze out the most forced smile on earth. "I just saw her walking alone in the night. I just had good intentions to give her a ride." But the officer's eyes and the incredibly awkward atmosphere stripped everything bare. The feeling of humiliation and fear rose to his throat. He knew that tomorrow his image as a model family man would be crushed on the front page of every tabloid. Although Eddie Murphy wasn't arrested, only Sayuli was taken in on an outstanding warrant, the damage to his reputation was immeasurable. The scandal of giving a transgender prostitute a ride became a classic Hollywood stain. It dealt a fatal blow to Nicole Mitchell's trust, creating an irreparable fracture that led to a $15 million divorce in 2005. 15. Teddy Pendergrass, the accident that ripped open the perfect shell. Teddy Pendergrass was the embodiment of extreme brilliance and masculinity. In the 70s, he wasn't just a singer. He was a sex god of R&B. With his rugged, full beard, broad chest, and warm baritone voice, Teddy possessed a magnetism that made millions of women crave him. He pioneered women-only concerts where audiences screamed themselves hoarse and threw underwear onto the stage. Teddy's entire empire, career, and millions of dollars were solidly built on the foundation of masculinity, strength, and robust manhood. However, behind the blinding stage lights and the adulation, Teddy hid a deep secret about his lifestyle. A secret that, if exposed, would permanently destroy the religion of masculinity he had painstakingly built. In March 1982, his green Rolls-Royce sped through the night on Lincoln Drive, Philadelphia. Suddenly, the car lost control, smashed through the median, and crashed into two large trees. The sound of metal twisting and tearing was horrifying, shattering the night. Inside the wreckage, soaked in the smell of gasoline and blood, Teddy was pinned in the driver's seat. His spine was broken. He gasped for air, his eyes wide in panic, as he realized he had absolutely no feeling from the chest down. But the physical pain at that moment seemed overshadowed by another profound terror. Sitting right next to him was Tenica Watson, a transgender woman who worked as a nightclub performer. While waiting for the ambulance, the headlights of passing cars continuously flashed into the cabin, illuminating the grimacing face of Teddy and his secret companion. He was trapped in his own expensive car, unable to move, helplessly watching as his deepest secret regarding his sexual orientation and lifestyle was about to be exposed to the whole world. Every passing second felt like torture, as America's most masculine man realized that the next morning's sunrise would burn down the entire image he had worked so hard to create. Teddy was permanently paralyzed from the chest down and had to use a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Although he always maintained that Tenica was just a longtime friend catching a ride, the public never believed it. The accident exposing this hidden corner completely destroyed his masculine sex symbol image, sending him into severe depression and even suicidal thoughts before he eventually pulled himself together to continue singing. 14. Eric Benet, the collapse of a fairy tale marriage. Eric Benet is the prince of neo-soul, possessing a tenor voice as smooth as velvet. Despite his talent, his name truly stepped into a new echelon of power when he caught the eye of and married Halle Berry in 2001. This was her most glorious era, as Halle had just made history with an Oscar and was desired by the whole world. Standing beside her, Eric had it all: a soaring career, a high society life, and a wife dubbed the most beautiful woman on the planet. They were the golden couple, Hollywood's fairy tale dream. Any man would consider having Halle Berry as the greatest achievement of a lifetime to cherish. But ironically, right in that dreamy mansion, Eric single-handedly crushed his perfect life. In 2002, right after Halle Berry made history with her Best Actress Oscar, the turning point occurred in their $1 million Beverly Hills mansion. Halle, through some intuition, discovered undeniable evidence that Eric had been sleeping with multiple women, including her own exes and friends. The scene in the living room at that moment wasn't filled with the crashing sounds of broken things, but a chillingly eerie silence. Eric stood frozen on the expensive rug, watching the most beautiful wife in the world crying silently. Hallie's eyes were filled with hurt and disgust. In that moment, Eric's throat felt bitterly choked. He stammered, trying to explain, clinging to the most desperate excuse. "I'm a sex addict. I'm sick." Guilt weighed like a boulder on his chest as he watched Hallie coldly turn her back and walk upstairs to pack her bags. Standing abandoned in the massive house, Eric felt like the most pathetic clown on the planet, someone who held the most precious diamond but threw it into the mud for trivial lusts. To salvage the situation, Eric Benet voluntarily entered a 35-day sex addiction rehab program. However, the emotional wound was too deep. Halle Berry filed for separation in 2003 and officially divorced him in 2005. From a promising R&B singer, Eric was forever branded by the public as the dumbest man in the world for daring to cheat on Halle Berry, causing his music career to sink amidst mockery. 13. Lionel Richie, The Swung Open Door, and The Hurricane in Los Angeles. Lionel Richie is the king of immortal love songs. His voice is the soundtrack to millions of weddings worldwide with sweet melodies like Hello, Truly, and Endless Love. In an entertainment industry rife with drama, Lionel was seen as a haven of decency, an elegant gentleman. The biggest pillar of that perfect image was his decades-long marriage to Brenda Harvey. His college sweetheart, the woman who shared his struggles from when he had nothing until he became a global superstar. Audiences believed in the love in Lionel's music because they believed in his marriage. Yet no one knew that behind those loyal love songs, the model man was being swept up in a blind, illicit romance, only to personally write a blood and tears ending for his own image. In June 1988, while Lionel was drowning in the intoxication of love with his beautiful young mistress, Diane Alexander, who was 18 years his junior, in an absolutely private and quiet space in Los Angeles, a loud knock suddenly echoed. Brenda Harvey appeared to the lover's shock and stormed in like a hurricane. In that moment, the superstar's brain seemed to shut down. He hastily backed away, slipping on the hallway floor. Brenda didn't say a word. She charged straight into the house in uncontrollable rage. She viciously slapped Diane's face, then turned to punch and kick Lionel in the chest and stomach as he tried to intervene. The sound of breaking furniture and screaming insults echoed through the narrow entryway of the house. The pain from his wife's punches didn't scare Lionel as much as hearing police sirens wailing closer. Richie revealed that he fled amidst the chaos, hoping his wife would follow. But when he left, Brenda Harvey turned back and kept fighting. Neighbors had called the cops. The situation escalated severely. Brenda Harvey was arrested by the police on multiple charges: trespassing, resisting arrest, and battery. The ensuing divorce cost Lionel Richie nearly $20 million. Even though he claimed he and his wife were already separated, this shock completely destroyed the family man image he had built, causing his music career to stall for a long time in the 90s. 12. R. Kelly, The Horrifying Secret, exposed behind the soundproof door. In the 90s and 2000s, R. Kelly was the king of R&B, a musical genius with multiple Grammys and hit songs selling tens of millions of copies. To the public, he was a suave artist, a husband with a perfect home alongside his wife, Andrea Lee, his former backup dancer and choreographer. His massive fortune helped Kelly build a personal empire, sprawling mansions with state-of-the-art security systems. But right behind those velvet-lined doors and expensive soundproofing, Kelly hid an utterly sick, manipulative, and abusive lifestyle, which his devoted wife had to quietly uncover herself. It was a late night in 2005 at the mega mansion in Chicago. Andrea Lee couldn't sleep. A wife's intuition told her something was rotting right inside her own home. She walked down the quiet hallway, the yellow light from crystal chandeliers illuminating her cold, bare feet on the marble floor. She approached Kelly's personal studio area, a place deemed untouchable. Her trembling hand pushed the thick, soundproof door. There was no music playing. Instead, a scene struck her eyes that froze the blood in her veins. Kelly was in there, not composing, but engaging in sick acts with very young girls, people she knew for a fact were underage. The air in the room was thick with the smell of liquor, cigar smoke, and filthy lust. Andrea's heart felt crushed. She didn't scream because she knew in this empire the power of the man in front of her could crush her at any moment. When Kelly turned around, his eyes held no panic or remorse of someone caught red-handed. It was a cold, brazen look, as if saying, "What are you going to do about it?" A feeling of suffocation and nausea rose to her throat. In that moment, Andrea realized she hadn't married an artist, but was living with a demon. She backed away, slammed the door shut, and rushed back to her bedroom in uncontrollable tears, knowing she had to plan an escape from this hell if she wanted to survive. Andrea Lee filed for divorce in 2006, leading to a tense legal battle, where she had to request a restraining order to protect herself. Although Kelly used his money and power to escape justice for years afterward, the crack Andrea created paved the way for countless other victims to speak up. The dark truth finally swallowed the king of R&B, ending with a prison sentence of over 30 years, turning him from an icon into one of the most disgusting criminals in music history. 11. David Ruffin, the desperate knock of a wife at a drug den. David Ruffin was the former frontman of The Temptations, the man who breathed soul into the legendary hit, My Girl. With his horn-rimmed glasses, sharp tailored suits, and magical tenor voice, David was the embodiment of lethal Motown charm. But behind the spotlight, he was a shattered soul, torn apart by narcissism, a habit of abusing women, and an inescapable dependence on crack cocaine. He married Joy Hamilton, painting a picture of a cozy family, but in reality, it was just a smokescreen for bottomless debauchery. It was a gloomy afternoon in the late 80s in Detroit. Joy Hamilton had been looking for her husband for days. Following the whispers of the underworld, she stopped her car in front of a rundown apartment building with peeling brick walls, a notorious crack house. The contrast was heartbreaking. The man who once stood at the pinnacle of the entertainment industry, the man with $1 million voice, was now hiding in a foul-smelling dump. Joy took a deep breath, mustering all her courage to push open the creaky wooden door. The acrid chemical smell of burning crack hit her nose, making her cough violently. In the dimly lit room, with trash scattered everywhere, David Ruffin was sprawled on a filthy mattress. But what broke Joy's heart wasn't just the crack pipe in his hand. It was the half-naked streetwalker clinging to him. There was no surprise, no excuses. David groggily opened his eyes to look at his wife. The drug high stripped him of his humanity, leaving only ruthless instinct. Instead of being ashamed of getting caught cheating in such a disgusting place, he threw the pipe on the floor, knocked over furniture, and screamed at her to leave, using the vilest profanities. Joy stood there, tears streaming down her face, feeling that every effort to save this man was hopeless. Resentment welled up as she realized the David Ruffin she loved had died long ago. What existed before her was just an empty shell gnawed away by drugs and lust. Joy bitterly gave up on the marriage. Losing his family and the last people holding on to him, David Ruffin spiraled into a bottomless pit. His career ruined, he lived his final days in poverty and debt. In 1991, the former Temptations frontman died of a drug overdose at a crack house in Philadelphia, closing the tragic life of a self-destructive genius. 10. The Dream. The haunting phone screen and the cruelty of a traitor. The Dream was one of the most powerful R&B singers/music producers of the 2000s, the man behind super hits like Umbrella and Single Ladies. In 2009, he had a dreamy wedding with singer Christina Milian. They quickly became a highly sought-after couple by the press, especially when Christina became pregnant with their first child. The Dream always built the image of a doting husband, ready to protect his family from the media storms. However, the truth is, when a woman is at her most vulnerable, the cruelty of a man is most clearly revealed. July 2010, unlike typical caught red-handed situations seen with one's own eyes, Christina Milian found out about her husband's betrayal in a much more agonizing way. She was sitting in her dimly lit bedroom at home, her body aching from postpartum exhaustion, cradling her sleeping infant daughter Violet, who was only a few months old. Suddenly, the phone on her nightstand buzzed incessantly. It wasn't a check-in text from the dream, who had told her he had to go on a business trip. It was a link to an article sent by her manager. Christina tiredly swiped the screen. The blinding light from the phone reflected on her pale face. The photo hit her right in the eyes. The dream, her husband, was frolicking, giving piggyback rides and acting affectionately with his assistant Melissa Santiago in the crystal-clear waters of the Caribbean. In that moment, the space around her seemed drained of sound. There was only the steady breathing of the baby in her arms and the sound of her heart shattering into pieces. A feeling of bitter sorrow welled up as she looked down at her postpartum belly and stretch marks, then looked back at the image of her husband enjoying freedom and the body of a young girl thousands of miles away. There was no chance to argue, no chance to explain. She was thrust into a situation of being caught publicly in front of millions of people worldwide. The scandal detonated like a bomb. Although the dream tried to salvage it by spreading rumors that they had already separated, no one believed it. The image of a man abandoning his recently postpartum wife to vacation with an assistant sank his public career. The marriage ended swiftly in humiliation, leaving Christina Milian with a deep psychological wound that took years to heal. 9. Ronald Isley, the betrayal-tinged track in the studio. Ronald Isley, also known as Mr. Biggs, is the immortal lead vocalist of the Isley Brothers. Possessing a smooth, ageless voice, he is a symbol of elegance and maturity in the R&B world. Contributing heavily to his brilliant resurgence in the 90s was Angela Winbush, a talented singer/songwriter. They married in 1993. Angela wasn't just his wife. She was his right hand, his songwriter, the one who resurrected Ronald's seemingly faded career. Their bond was seen as a beautiful love song of the music world, until illness struck. In early 2001, Angela Winbush received devastating news. She was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Her body weakened by grueling chemo sessions, her hair falling out, she needed her life partner more than ever. One late evening, feeling uneasy about her husband's recent coldness, Angela decided to drive to their personal recording studio, the very sanctuary that had nurtured their love. She walked with difficulty down the hallway. When she reached the main control room, looking through the thick soundproof glass, Angela froze. The dim studio lights illuminated a scene cruel to the bone. Ronald Isley, the husband she had dedicated her youth to serving and uplifting, was passionately embracing and crossing the line with Candy Johnson, a backup singer 35 years his junior. The rough mix of a track was still playing on the monitors. The notes she had written herself were now the background music to Betrayal. The physical pain from the cancer suddenly felt meaningless compared to this fatal stab. Angela's legs gave out. Utter emptiness took over. She realized the most bitter truth about men. When a woman loses her beauty and health, she is easily cast aside. She didn't storm in to fight because someone battling death no longer has the strength to fight for someone who already wants to leave. Ronald filed for divorce while Angela was still battling cancer in 2002 and publicly flaunted his romance with Candy Johnson. This ruthless act earned him severe backlash from the public. Although Angela bravely beat cancer and lived on, karma caught up with Ronald. In 2006, the legend was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for tax evasion, losing all his wealth and honor in his twilight years. 8. Gin Wine, the text messages that exposed a bizarre lifestyle. With his sexy looks, six-pack abs, and the classic hit Pony, Gin Wine was one of the hottest sex symbols in R&B in the late 90s. At the peak of his fame, he married female rapper Soleil, Tanya Johnston, in 2003. In front of the media, Genuine always claimed Soleil had saved his life, pulling him out of addiction and depression. They built the image of a devout, bonded, and peaceful family. But the instincts of a player, worshipped by tens of thousands of female fans, didn't disappear as easily as promises made to the press. Early one morning in 2014 at their quiet mansion in Maryland, Genuine had just returned from a long tour and was fast asleep. Soleil, as was the habit of a diligent wife, quietly took her husband's luggage out to do laundry. As she reached into the deepest pocket of the suitcase, her fingers touched something cold. A second phone, something she had never seen before. Soleil's heart skipped a beat. She pressed the power button. The screen lit up with dozens of unread messages. Without needing a password, just looking at the notifications flashing on the lock screen, her world collapsed. They were steamy texts, sexually suggestive photos, and hookup arrangements from countless different young girls. Holding the phone, Soleil walked into the bedroom, where her model husband was snoring steadily. The chill from the marble floor traveled from her bare feet straight to the top of her head. She turned on the light. Genuine jolted awake, squinting from the glare. When he saw the object in his wife's hand, all the blood drained from his face. There was no screaming or breaking things. Soleil just stood there, tears rolling down, and threw the phone onto the bed. Genuine burst into tears, collapsed, and hugged his wife's legs, confessing a disgusting truth. He was a sex addict and couldn't resist temptation on tour. A nauseating feeling surged. Soleil realized the man she prayed with every night was actually living a filthy double life, crushing the trust of a decade-long marriage. Although Soleil tried to save the marriage by sending her husband to rehab, shattered trust could not be patched. They separated and officially divorced in 2015. This incident, along with debts caused by his decadent lifestyle, forced Genuine to file for bankruptcy and fall into severe depression, ending the golden era of one of America's biggest R&B icons. 7. Rick James, the tragedy of drugs and lust. Dubbed the king of punk funk with the hit Super Freak, Rick James had an illustrious career, but his personal life was immersed in the darkness of drugs and depravity. Rick's betrayal didn't just stop at secretly sleeping with others. It happened publicly at debaucherous cocaine-fueled parties. The peak came in the early 90s when his cheating escalated into criminal behavior as he and his mistress, Tanya Hijazi, were arrested for kidnapping, imprisoning, and torturing other women for days on end under the influence of drugs. Fans and the women who once loved him were shocked to realize that behind a musical talent was an out-of-control addict. As a result, Rick James served over 2 years at Folsom State Prison. His career completely collapsed, and his health deteriorated until his death in 2004. 6. Ike Turner, the nightmare called control. Though born before 1940, Ike Turner's dark legacy was most active in the 60s and 70s and is an extreme case. Ike was a musical genius, but a monster at home. Ike's infidelity toward Tina Turner wasn't hidden. It was a public trampling. He frequently brought his mistresses home, even forcing Tina to live with and serve them. The breaking point of her endurance was when Tina caught Ike in bed with multiple women right before performances. Any resistance was met with brutal beatings. Ultimately, Tina fled a Dallas hotel in 1976 with absolutely nothing. Ike lost his golden goose, spiraled into drug addiction, was boycotted by the world, and died in isolation in 2007. 5. Wilson Pickett, Wild Nature and Gun Barrels. Known as Wicked Pickett, Wilson Pickett was a powerhouse vocalist of soul music. However, the nickname Wicked accurately reflected his real-life persona. Wilson's personal life was a string of constant affairs. He was frequently caught red-handed, but always resorted to violence to solve things. He was notorious for his hot temper and his habit of using guns to threaten his wives, mistresses, and friends whenever things blew up. Once, when caught cheating, instead of showing remorse, Wilson pulled a gun to threaten his own family. His philandering, alcoholism, and violent lifestyle landed him in legal trouble multiple times, overshadowing his outstanding talent and leaving his final years mired in illness and alienation. 4. Smokey Robinson, the illegitimate child that destroyed a perfect icon. As the soul of the legendary Motown record label, Smokey Robinson was considered a symbol of elegance and perfection. His 25-year marriage to Claudette Rogers, a former member of the Miracles, was once the gold standard for black artists. However, the image of the perfect man completely collapsed in 1984. This exposure came when Smokey was forced to confess he had a son, Trey, with another woman. The most bitter part was that throughout their marriage, Claudette had endured several painful miscarriages trying to give him a child. This confession was a fatal stab, ending Motown's iconic marriage and pushing Smokey into a period of drug abuse. 3. Marvin Gaye, the musical divorce sentence. Marvin Gaye, the Prince of Soul, possessed a highly sensual voice, but his personal life was incredibly complicated. He married Anna Gordy, the sister of Motown boss Berry Gordy. However, when the marriage was on the rocks, Marvin openly dated Janice Hunter, a girl who was only 17. Their secret rendezvous were quickly discovered by Anna's spies. Getting caught cheating didn't just force Marvin to face a bitter divorce, but also pushed him into an ironic legal situation. The court ordered Marvin to use all the profits from his next album to pay alimony to Anna. As a result, he created the album Here, My Dear, a work that spilled everything about his betrayal, the broken marriage, and biting sarcasm aimed at his ex-wife. 2. Bobby Brown. Philandering destroyed the romance of the century. Bobby carried the true nature of a street player. Throughout his marriage to Whitney Houston, his philandering was the main cause of fiery arguments. Many times, Bobby was caught red-handed having fun with strange girls on tour or right in the club. These love scandals not only hurt Whitney, but also pushed both of them into a vortex of jealousy, violence, and drug abuse to escape reality. The image of a cheating, terrible Bobby Brown turned him into the biggest villain in the eyes of the public, blamed by the masses for the ruin of one of the greatest voices of all time. 1. Usher, the medical scandal that rocked the entertainment industry. Placed at the end of the list due to his massive fame, Usher's scandal remains one of the hardest stains to wash away. His philandering didn't just lead to typical relationship breakdowns, like with Chili from TLC, but also left heavy legal and medical consequences. Starting in 2017, Usher was sued by multiple women, including one-night stands, for secretly having unprotected sex and infecting them with herpes without prior disclosure. Leaked legal documents showed he had to quietly pay millions of dollars in settlements to silence his lovers. This incident completely shattered the image of a suave, clean-cut Prince of R&B. Closing the velvet curtain, the spotlight might glitter to hide the darkest corners, but it will never stop the truth when it's time for it to break. The 17 stories above leave us not only feeling sorrow for great musical legacies being tarnished, but also serve as a bitter reminder. Exceptional artistic talent is never a get-out-of-jail-free card for moral corruption. Fame might lift them to the top of the world, but lust and betrayal are what push them off the cliff by their own hands. Leave a comment below to let me know which character's story gave you chills and haunts you the most. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel to continue uncovering the most shocking dark corners of the entertainment world with us. Goodbye and see you next time.